So The Crowning is a young adult fantasy book. It's about kings and queens and the fight to determine the next heir of this kingdom. So there's revenge and backstabbing and all sorts of death and fun stuff. I'm not a planner, so I just write as I go along and the ideas just flow, and that's how I work. I love fantasy and just world building. I love creating something from nothing and just seeing where you can go from that. Through NaNoWriMo, so that's an international novel writing competition where you have to write 50,000 words in a month. And that was sort of the driving force for me to finally put together all my words and get it onto paper. And from that I got the first half of my book, and then I kept writing from that, and that's how I wrote it. So I normally work as a nurse, but it was a couple of years ago that I decided that this was what I wanted to do for me rather than just for everyone else. Challenge for me is editing. I struggle with editing. That is the hardest thing for me. And proofreading. They're my two hates about writing. But you can't have the end product without that sort of stuff. So I push through, and that's how you get a book. The lovely Beck is my writing mentor, and she helped me put together my ideas and put it all into my first book, and then she sort of helps guide me in my journey through being an author. Really good, particularly through Instagram, Bookstagram community. Massive following through that, and now my book's available all over the world, and it's gone to about 15 countries now, so it's been very exciting. Being an indie author, it's harder to break out into other languages because we don't have the backing from publishing houses to be able to finance that sort of thing. So for now we're in English, and who knows down the track. So it comes out on September 30th, called A Queen's Fate, and that's the second book of this series, and there'll be one more come out next year. So in this book there are potential heirs for a kingdom, and they have to fight it out through these ceremonies to figure out who will be the new future heir, future king or queen of this kingdom. So after that's decided at the end of the first book, then the second book we see how the kingdom adjusts to the changes of their new future ruler, and not everyone's happy about it. So civil unrest comes, and the high priestess is up to all sorts of mischief, and it's a very interesting little story. Marketing is a challenge. I haven't got the knack for it, and I think that's the biggest challenge for indie authors. But the publishing itself is quite simple. There's a lot of support out there for indie authors now, so it's a lot easier than you'd imagine. It's always hard starting out as an author, and so I'm just grateful for the supporters I do have and the following of these people that, through Instagram particularly, that help spread the word about indie authors and support us so that we can get our word out there, and that's been a really, really good asset to me.